Hey guys, and welcome back to my Let's Play of the Crash Bandicoot N.Sane Trilogy. It is finally time to finish up the third tier of levels, but we can also get a gem from the second chamber by getting the purple gem in High Time, one of the absolute worst levels when it comes to time trials, especially in the original version. This was the level that pretty much made me give up on trying to get all of the platinum relics in the original version. And yet somehow, when I was attempting to do my failed Crash Bandicoot review video, explaining why I like Wrath of Cortex the most, it ended up being the one level I was actually able to get the platinum in. So, I don't know how that works. That's just fate for you, isn't it? It's karma and everything, and I ended up cancelling the video anyway. So it was a waste of time playing Crash to Insanity again. If you fell down that building at the start of the level, you would still live if you fell down, because screw you, Crash to Insanity. I just do not see where the love for that game comes from. I think it's terrible. I really do think it's terrible. I think Sonic 06 is a better game than Crash to Insanity. A lot less glitchy for a start. And that's saying something. The difference being is that in Sonic 06 I actually have to cause the glitches myself. And that's just not fair judgment. Yeah, they shouldn't be there in the first place, but to cause it yourself, I still don't think that's fair judgment. And what do I get for saying I don't like to Insanity? A load of flack. Because what the hell are opinions? Your opinion is wrong. How can an opinion be wrong? It doesn't matter, your opinion is just wrong. See Star Wars The Last Jedi. Anybody who says they like the film just gets a load of crap, a load of abuse. As do the people who are offered making the film. This is why I refuse to use the word fan base, because Star Wars just, it's not a fan base. There is a Star Wars fan base and they're all a bunch of lovely people. But if your criticisms for a film are nonsensical and decide that the best way to address it is through abuse and bullying to the people in charge, I feel so sorry for Ryan Johnson because of it. You are not a fan, you are the direct antithesis of it. Applies for Sonic, and it seems to apply for Crash to Insanity. Ah, there is a death route here. I thought there was a death route. Right, so here's the first thing we're going to do. We're going to get off of this thing, and then get onto the death route. Now, I believe the death route, I want to say it takes you to, it has its own pathway. There are 3 Arabian levels in the game, and the next one has a death route as well. There's only about 3 death routes in the entire game, I believe, and 2 of them are in Arabian levels. The next one takes you a bit further on into the level, I believe. This one I don't remember. I think this one just has an ending. So, grab the purple gem and then I can just die because there's nothing else here. Just watch out for the scorpions. Which, even the scorpion enemies on this thing appear in Wrath of Cortex. I swear, Wrath of Cortex has original stuff in it. It just also has a bunch of unoriginal stuff that, thankfully, the unoriginal stuff still controls better. Alright, so long, Aku Aku. I mean, if you're the type that doesn't like to die, you can just play the level twice. It's not like High Time isn't a very long level, even though the death route isn't very far into it. The collision detection on these rugs in the original version was a bit weird. I mean, they still kind of are here, but it could be a bit weird. There are times where Crash could jump right through the bottom of them, and other times he gets stuck about halfway through. And then other times you just knock his head on the top, and that's it. So, whether or not he'll clip through them, that's up to the game. Some of my least favourite enemies in the Arabian levels, the knife guys. Particularly the ones that like to throw them, but the ones that don't throw them are annoying as well. And they will cause Crash to lose his trousers. I don't remember what they do for Coco. I think they just kill her. That would be in bad taste. If they made her lose her trousers. Whatever it is she's wearing. Is it her sort of like overalls, I guess. But that's it. We got our purple gem, which means that we can now go back into Toon Time. So it's back to the second warp room, and it's back against the camera. We got more backtracking. Amazing. Unfortunately, there is more to do. This is the thing about Crash 3, is that a lot of the color gems are found in the later stages, which then means that you have to backtrack to a number of levels that you've already been to go and get the remaining boxes.
Well, you've crashed a few parties before, but I never expected you to make it this far. If you don't turn back, I will inflict 1,000 years of suffering on you and the entire universe!
Yeah, you have to backtrack to a lot of levels that you've already been to in order to gain access to other pathways. I mean, on the one hand, it gives you something to look forward to. On the other hand, I'd rather we just had everything available. On the other hand, I'd rather just, like... It ruins pacing, I think, because we've already been to these levels. With Crash 2, you didn't have to backtrack to any of the levels as long as you did them in the right order, because most of them, the colored gem was often... Colored gem was often on the pathway before the one that had the actual gem path on it, or it was on the same tier. So yeah, you have to know which is the right level to take, but at the very least you're not suddenly going back into a different chamber. I mean, Crash 1 will always be the worst, by far the worst. Especially when that one had you backtracking often for so few boxes. But it's still annoying. Even in Crash 2, well, in Crash 3, it's still annoying. Just not Crash 1 annoying. Unfortunately, Wrath of Cortex would continue it, unfortunately. It's not as bad, but there are still at least... how many levels are there? How many levels require it? Now, I think it only happens twice in Wrath of Cortex. You need to backtrack once you get the gold relic, the gold gem, which is found in the 5th chamber, in Gold Rush, funnily enough, and then you need to then go back to the 1st chamber. And if you get, what's the other one? Oh, and the 2nd chamber has one where you need the red gem, which is also in the 5th chamber. So it has it, but you're only doing it twice. Like I said, Crash 1 will always be the worst by far. But this game, I'd say, is 2nd. Let's try and do these right this time. Don't close. Right, so here's what we gotta do. This is a backtracking level. We need to take this pathway first. And then we need to backtrack along the main pathway. Ooh. Yeah, they each have their own individual hitboxes. And only the tops of the spears hurt you. Screw you, Labyrinth Zone. Really don't get why in, like, Labyrinth Zone in Sonic 1, sides of the spears hurt you. And I know it's not the only game that does that. But if the sides of spikes don't hurt Sonic, why do the sides of the spears in Labyrinth Zone? You still got to make sure you don't jump to the top of them. And that applies to the original as well. They actually had competent hitbox design for them. It's just a shame certain other things were a bit weird. You know, PS1 game. I can expect that sort of thing, I guess. Right, so now backtracking. Backtracking is always fun, isn't it? It's always so much fun with backtracking, especially in Crash games. these. Especially backtracking on what's essentially ice physics. Or in this case, oil physics. Right. Can belly flop. These. Right, so at least we don't. At least I'm not backtracking all the way, but it does mean if I die before reaching the next checkpoint, which I don't think there easy. I don't even think there are any more checkpoints because this is around the midpoint of the level. So it will mean that I have to backtrack each time. So these are the sort of things where backtracking against the camera is a problem. And I believe there are 2 Egyptian levels that do this. I think the next one, Sphinxinator, does it as well. Thankfully you don't need to worry about the doors when you're backtracking. So there is that at the very least. Ooh. See, this is fun. Isn't this fun? Just nudging your way forwards. It's always so much fun. And now the doors are working again. Did any sort of Egyptians actually make elaborate traps and tombs like this? And I'm sure there wasn't bottomless pits, because how do you make a bottomless pit? Like again, there has to be a bottom. These walls have to end eventually because someone had to build them. I mean, I know some of these things I'm pretty sure couldn't exist. But do the Egyptians have anything of the sort, or are they just empty tombs? Well, they're not really empty, they were filled with treasure, but, you know. I know the Egyptians were quite advanced in a number of things, but they weren't that advanced. There we go, that's the Gems of Tomb Time. It's a pain. But now for something much less of a pain. It's time for the final level of the 3rd tier before we fight the boss. And thankfully, it's my favourite of the level tropes. It's a medieval level, not an Egyptian level. And yet every single background of the tiers is based off of a different time period. So that one is Ancient Egypt. Is it Ancient Egypt? No, that's Ancient Egypt. That's the, let's see, Tier 1 is Medieval. Tier 2 is Arabia. Tier 3 is the Oriental one, despite the fact that that was over there. Then it's Egypt, then it's Future. Nice little touch, even though this one doesn't have an Oriental theme level. Although whenever I hear the word Oriental, I just think the train. Like the Orient Express. For a long time, I didn't even know that the Oriental meant the ancient Chinese Empire. I always just called it ancient China. Right, anyway, these guys. This is why the level's called Double Header, and I guess he swung his hand back. I lost my... I could have been invincible! I haven't been invincible in Crash 3 yet. I want to get invincible in every level at some point. And you gotta try and jump on their heads. And then they fall over. I don't know if they get back up again. I always go past them, so I never see. And yeah, as they... Oh, there it goes again. As they swing their hands backwards, chickens I should say, as they swing the chickens backwards, they do still hurt you. Did we even have first chicken back in these days? And I'm sure we got the idea to remove... Yeah, we must have. Because I know we would have had the idea to remove the feathers. And that's what a chicken's going to look like without its feathers or its head. Or its feet. I mean, I don't know what century this is set in. Is it the 15th century? Is it the Middle Ages? Is it Tudor times? Oops, how did I do that? Is it the Dark Ages? How would we know? We don't know anything about the Dark Ages. Hence, Dark Ages. What time is it? Now, I'm going to assume it's a bit further ahead than... I'm going to assume it's a bit more recent than the Dark Ages. Right, Saxon era. Nah, I don't know what we had in the time. Like, when did these 10 things, when were they invented? Like, it looks like some sort of medieval fair is going on. By the way, the bonus room theme, which is also the main theme of the game, just different remixes of it, would pretty much become the main theme of the series for a while. Like, Crash Team Racing had its own theme. I think Crash Bash... I don't think Crash Bash had its own theme. I think that was the first one to make use of the Warp theme again, as would Wrath of Cortex and Entranced or Excess, Extra Small, whatever it's called, and Crash 2 Entranced. I'm not sure about Nitro Kart. Again, the only games I've played are the 3D platformers. I've never played the 2D platformers. I haven't played, and that includes like the GBA version of Crash of the Titans or the DS version of Mind of the Mutant. I have the DS version of Titans, which I know is 3D. It's the only 3D platforming game I haven't played in the series yet. And I know it's much more similar to this. It's kind of a shame, really, because that's the thing. I may have mentioned this before, Titans and Mutants aren't bad games, they're just the sort of thing that we'd say aren't really Crash games, but you know, that instantly means it's a terrible game overall, because for some reason that's how it works. Now, I wouldn't exactly say they're good games either, but they are some of the most average games I've ever played. It's like Sonic Forces. The game isn't bad, it's just that because it's so average, there's no such thing as mediocrity. There's nothing in the middle. It's either great or it's terrible. There's not even there's good and bad. It's great or terrible. And games like Sonic Forces, Crash of the Titans, Crash Mind of a Mutant, the console versions anyway, they're right in the middle as you can possibly get. But apparently no middle exists. So it instantly means they're terrible. That seems to be people's mindset anyway. It's a mindset that makes absolutely no sense, but it seems to be the mindset. Isn't that right about The Last Jedi? No, The Last Jedi is good. It's flawed, but it's good.
Ah! You little vermin are way too stupid to understand what you're getting yourselves into. This time, you've done it!
Right, time to fight Dr. N.Tropy, which I believe somewhere in the instruction manual for Wrath of Cortex it misspells it as N.Tropy, which for a long time is what I thought his name was. I think it says N.Tropy on the character list, and I think in his description it says Trophy. But you know, I'd never heard of Tropy, so I always just called him N.Tropy, and that's always how I heard Cortex saying it in Wrath of Cortex as well when he says his name. Anyway, here's how this works. Avoid his attacks, get across the pit, and then attack him back. Then he'll teleport to the other side. These are the most these are the most difficult part, because it's kind of a bit difficult to judge exactly where they are. And then he does get faster with these things. It's quite weird, like if Crash touches any of these, he just gets vaporized out of existence. It's pretty creepy. And it does happen if you touch N.Tropy as well. Without spinning into him. Apparently spinning into him is perfectly fine, but simply running into him will kill you. And that's touch damage in a nutshell. It makes no sense. Why can Mario jump on a Goomba but he can't run into a Goomba? And why can't he jump on the side of a Goomba? That will kill you. Why can Crash spin his hands into an enemy but he can't run into the enemy? Whoa, I'm surprised that worked. I thought I was going to die then.
But yours soon will be too.
Don't worry, he's perfectly fine. This game seems to have been erased from continuity. Like, they all reappear again, despite the ending and everything in Wrath of Cortex. N.Tropy will also reappear into Insanity. So, anything that happens in this game is non-canonical. What was going on there? Crash was sort of like bobbing up and down. His eyes are still creeping me out, but now we have the best power-up in the game by a long shot, the Death Tornado Spin. You don't need to worry about being so precise with the timing of your attacks, and you can glide. It is easily the best power-up in the entire game.
You insignificant morons! By defeating N.Tropy, you have placed us all in grave danger!
Crash, Coco, you must realize that this time twister machine is very delicate. Without Dr. N.Tropy's constant care and control, who knows what it will do?
Whoa, what the... Crash? What is going on in this playthrough? So many weird things are happening with all of these games. Anyway, why does Uka Uka keep attaching himself to Cortex's face? He's perfectly capable of moving. In fact, how are Cortex and Uka Uka even communicating with us? What are they doing there? But anyway, we are now at the 4th tier of levels. We have 2 Egyptian themes here, so may get tired of seeing it. Doesn't help that the chamber itself is Egyptian. We have our first plane level. We have another jet ski level. And we have what ranks up there with Cold Hard Crash. No, I said it for piston it away as well. The worst level in the entire trilogy. Well, we can't do it. We can't do it properly yet, so the version of it we're about to do is much, much better. But that's for next time, so I will see you guys then.